All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. But we're going to have a show.
And good morning, it's Friday. I love it. I know. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah, you know, everybody. Friday brings all the boys to the yard. Yeah. So glad all of you have hung out in the waiting area before we went on. A lot of people are, you know, they're jumping in. If you hit that bell underneath the video, it tells you we're about to go on the air and when we've dropped a new piece of video, and I think it's a great thing to do. Anyway, a lot of people do that, or they show up just before 10 o'clock, and I say a hearty good morning to all of you. Good morning, Lulu.
Morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Morning.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
Good morning, Vilma.
Morning.
Lynn.
Morning.
Oh, my goodness, Calvin.
Morning.
Yes. Hearty good morning to all of you. Wow, Andreas, I see you. A good morning, good morning. I'm going to give you 3 good mornings, Andreas. Hear that?
Morning, morning, morning.
Yeah. And Carrie, what
Morning.
up, Carrie? The Mark Merch people got to me and said this is the last day of the 15% discount, but it will be in effect today until midnight. So if you've been wanting to get yourself some merch, you can do it at getmarkmerch.com. Great to have everybody here. Feeling good. Yeah, you know.
Wait, they got to you? Did they send Joe Box?
They did not send Joe Box, but Joe Box equivalent.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
Yeah. I think, you know, somebody identifies as Joe Box on our chat. And you can chat throughout the show, of course. You just jump right into YouTube. You can jump in the way you did on the radio station and text.
Why don't you just text it?
The beautiful thing about these texts is that others can see them, and there's community that we build, and that's really the coolest upside to the YouTube world that we're in right now. But anyway, you're seeing all these names, and one of them is Joe Box, right? And I don't know, I don't think he's in the chat right now, but you guys can find out for me. I'm pretty sure that's Buck from the old show. A lot of the stuff he says is very buckish. You know what I mean? So he's not the real Joe Box. No, he is most certainly not the real Joe Box.
Well, do we know that?
Well,
you
it's a presumption.
Taken him from, one news report and made him a high-profile character.
It is true.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
Yeah. I'm really looking to meet Fat Andy.
What he's got going here
is a situation. For a situation, I need Fat Andy.
Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy.
I'm sure Grady Judd could make it happen.
Grady Judd could make a situation. By the way, Grady Judd, who is often heard in Friday Fabulous Florida, not heard today there. We have other stuff in Friday Fabulous Florida, bottom of the hour. Also have both Jim Avila and Michael Shore, I believe, will be here to talk about many, many things that are going on. Yes.
What a show.
Yeah, it really is great. That is the lovely Kim McAllister, everyone.
Hi.
She's coming in real hot, John. Why do the levels change when we go on the air? Anyway.
It's the magic.
It's the magic.
Morning.
I'm looking into something that will take all the levels and level them out, just those of you who mentioned that to me. So we're looking to level out the Mark Thompson Show experience. So that'll and Tony, not here right this instant, but with us in spirit. So we love our Tony, and he's watching things and is always helpful. And
thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Those of you who've made contributions so far, you can do it through Patreon. You can do it in all those ways that are associated with PayPal. We have a PayPal link and Patreon link at themarkthompsonshow.com. That's available to you. And, of course, we have the Super Chats and the Super Stickers. That's through YouTube. It's just easier. That's the thing. Right, I get it. YouTube takes a chunk. But it's just easier. You click and you donate. So Kim's living room, very Christmassy today, everyone. I don't know if those who are not able to see, I'll describe it. 2 perfect trees, one on either side of a perfect fireplace, Kim. That is just a beautiful... Yeah.
When one isn't enough, we have to we do it up right for the Mark Thompson Show.
When one tree is not enough, is that
unless it's half of a fireplace and a mirror.
Yeah, well, it's
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
oh yeah, you're right. They might have done you think a Photoshop job on it? I don't know. It looks pretty legit to me. One side does have a doorway, John. So the sides don't quite match.
Like,
so,
what are you trying to? Are you trying to impress Santa? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's not such a bad idea, John. Maybe you should start thinking about impressing Santa. Okay, I mean that's
Too late.
Yeah.
Too late.
What do they
I'm
say?
in the coal industry.
They say,
yeah.
what something about one is none and two is one, right? You have to be prepared for everything, and so you always have an extra. And we don't skimp on the MTS. We don't.
No, that's very
I think
impressive.
Santa's more concerned about the cookies.
Yeah, he's cookie motivated probably, but anyway, very very impressive.
Tomorrow we may have a Hanukkah room. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's right. When does Hanukkah start? What's the first day of Hanukkah? Anybody?
Google it.
Okay. We should have John Rothman on. He is the rabbi of this show. He could tell us about Hanukkah. 8 crazy nights of Hanukkah. So
Begins
December
Sunday, December 18th.
Okay, well.
To December 26th.
Shout out to all my Jewish boys and girls.
Ending on your birthday. Or your birthday's the day after? The day after.
My birthday's the day after Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the last day of Hanukkah.
Oh, that's the last day of Hanukkah. Wow. Yeah.
You're like Jesus Part 2.
Well, Jesus 4.0, you're right. I never thought of it
That's how the
that
show
way.
is marketed.
Yeah. John, what's happening? Do we have any announcements before I continue? I want to mention Jefferson Graham's coming up, and he's the best, sort of a fan favorite. You know, he does photo walks all over the Bay Area, all over California, all across America. He had that whole thing where he goes to the Grand Canyon, he goes across the country. Then he went to Europe, and he went to France, and he shot these great videos in Paris, and he's debuting them this weekend in his photo walk series.
So that's kind of a big announcement.
Well, wait a minute. That's on his channel, though, John. That's not a major announcement.
Yeah, but he's coming on your channel. It's kind of the kids call it a collab.
Oh, is that right? Well,
yeah.
If he debuts it on this show, any of it, even like a preview, then it would be a major announcement. But I'm not going to allow the major announcement music and fanfare to play just on the hunch that he might debut it. Once he announces it, then we'll play it. Is that fair?
Sure. I mean, we do have another big announcement. We have a guest who's going to be a news anchor. She's going to be here on Monday. That's kind of a big announcement.
That, what do you think, Kim? All right. That is a major announcement.
Yeah.
A major announcement from the Mark Thompson Show.
Yes.
A major announcement.
You just
The
you
end
can't
of
really
that.
you can't speak until after the growl is
I think it's an alligator doing a raspberry.
Shadow actually is coming on the show this month, and we have to ask him.
Well,
what
that's
that
a
is.
major announcement.
What the hell is that?
Oh my God, it's great. I don't know what it is, but it's brilliant. Anyway, we'll ask him what that is. But so Pat Thurston is going to join us on Monday, everybody. That's the announcement, which is really, really cool. Pat Thurston has just joined the team at KCBS, and I think she's being trained right now. And she will join us right here on this show on Monday. So
This has been a major announcement
Yes.
of the Mark Thompson Show. Major
Yes. All right. Can I get Jefferson Graham on here? Do I have anything else to do? I do want to follow up on a couple of major news stories, and I'll get Jeff on in just a second. I do want to touch on a couple of things. They're not Trump related, and I am going to mention to our political analysts, both Jim and Michael, if Michael can make it. Michael's in Georgia covering the Herschel Walker primary runoff, I guess. But that said, apropos of primaries, there is a huge push, as you know, and Biden is leading that push for the Democrats to lead the primary season with South Carolina. That would really shake up the map. I love that play. I love it strategically. I love it for reasons that reflect the actual breadth and demography of the United States of America. And Iowa does, and this ridiculous manner in which they do this primary kickoff in Iowa. It's absurd. I'll let those guys talk about it, but it's not even a real primary. So I love this play on the part of Biden. It's a really clever play. I'll tell you a play that I'm not as crazy about, but I'm also aware of the fact that it's a tough situation for him, and that is what happened with the congressional edict that has been issued to the unions to go back to work and to avoid a strike with the railways. The reason I don't like it, you might anticipate, is that it strikes me as clearly, and this really, we've known this for a while, and I've made this point repeatedly over the years, government, and particularly this government, which is bought and paid for, they're going to side with big business always. Now, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but if you lose the railways, you lose the supply chain, it turns the economy on its side. Yeah, that's why Congress did it. But that there is no sick leave at all that's stipulated in this agreement, in this congressional mandate, it's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. So I don't.
People working long shifts and they're sick. So when there's an accident, who's going to be responsible for that?
And Bernie Sanders made that point on the floor, and yet this cruises through because they were at a stalemate, and there was no way to handle that stalemate unless there was perceived a congressional involvement. So Congress puts its thumb on the scale. And now those guys don't have their sick leave, and they got to go back to work. I think it's a disappointment. But as I say, it's really a reflection of the way the system is set up for big business. And by the way, the last thing I'll say on this, the railways are making record profits this year. There is no excuse. This is not a hardship case when we talk about the railways. So. Railroads, whatever they call it. I call it railways. It's probably an old term. Speaking of old terms, though, that this law that they put in where they can, where somehow they're not allowed this collective bargaining, that goes back to the 1920s. It's outrageous on some level. So I did want to say a word about that. I have other things to say about Trump and about white supremacy and about politics. All of that we'll save for 11 o'clock. Now, I want to get into our guest. Really cool to have this guy in. So.
The Mark Thompson Show.
He is the host of Photo Walks. How about it for Jefferson Graham, everybody? Yeah, Jefferson Graham, look at you. He really can play that guitar. That is not just a decoration.
I put on the jacket. You inspired me.
There you go. So you got back from Paris and you shot a bunch of stuff with your iPhone, right? In Paris. You actually have you went through kind of what you did, but review for everybody. It's not just one iPhone. You bring with you a handful of things that are pretty accessible. Most of us could probably travel with a similar rig.
Yeah, I have a series on YouTube, right here on YouTube, called Photo Walks TV, where I travel to wonderful places and show folks how to get great photos with the camera that's in their pocket, which is an iPhone or an Android, whatever. And I believe we're going to debut a clip exclusively. Right.
Wait a minute. We weren't sure. Is that right? So you are debuting a clip. Now, will you run the clip? Will you run the clip and you share it with us, or how does that work?
I sent you the share earlier.
God, I hate that.
Can John find it?
Yeah, I'll find it.
Oh.
Okay.
The words I
Paris.
never want to hear are, I sent you the stuff.
What?
Right. But let's...
Okay, so
let's be clear.
He's fantastic.
Okay, we'll get to it in a second. Yeah, Jeff,
I ran all over Paris and other places in France, just shooting on the iPhone. The pro was I left the hotel room every morning without a camera around my neck. I was out all day from, let's say, 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. And I had cameras in my pocket, and it really felt good and freeing.
Yeah, from a guy who's used to, you usually, for years have traveled with that big SLR, and this is the new world.
Stuff on my back. And the video quality is great. The photos are pretty great. I would say that on my bigger camera, they might be a little better, but You got to weigh what you're going to do there. And again, most people are going to be shooting with cameras in their pockets. So I was just showing what's possible with the iPhone. And I think the results look pretty good.
Wow. So, John, you'll let me know when you have it. Do you when we actually have the video? Okay. So
I can search while we're live if you like.
We can debut it. John, will you get it, or should Jeff look for it also?
Yeah, I just have a lot of email, so it takes a lot to find things.
I have a photography question, if I may.
Yes, please.
I noticed that when I'm trying to take a picture with my iPhone of, say, a sunset or a sunrise or some
I know where this is going. Yep.
It never looks like it looks. You know what I mean? Most of the time you take a picture and it looks like, oh, that looks like exactly what I saw with my eyes. But I can never capture kind of the grandeur of what the vista is showing on a phone.
Okay. Well, first of all, the picture behind me.
Yeah. Oh, that's
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Is a sunset shot on an iPhone 8.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
I need to update my library for maybe for next time. We'll have a new photo up there.
Why don't you have a digital frame up there? It just seems so Jefferson Graham to have a digital frame. No?
It would have to be a TV.
Yeah, that's right. It would have to be a monitor.
It would have to be a TV. Yeah. I find, frankly, that sunsets on the iPhone look better than on my other camera. And I've done amazing work on the iPhone because the iPhone and the Android cameras as well, but they take multiple exposures.
So tell Kim what might Kim be doing wrong, or how could Kim possibly step up? Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, the sunsets are the best after the sun sets. You know that?
No.
Okay. After the sun sets is when the color comes in. Again, I'm going to dust my hair.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Note it's the color show, and all the listeners and viewers should know the best sunsets are in November and December every year. This is when we get the best colors.
Wow.
Most of the rest of the year are just a basic orange sunset.
November, December.
And they're not that exciting. Hey, look at that.
Look at this. John's got something.
Okay, so I'm showing where to get the best photo of the Eiffel Tower, which, is not at the Eiffel Tower.
For
another cool tower.
Okay, yeah. John, let him. Hang on a second. How are we going to do this? Are you going to narrate it, Jefferson?
No,
and we
I'm
just
not
run it,
anything.
or do you want him to stop? Do you want him to start?
Play it, and I'll let you
just
know
play
when
it,
to
Johnny.
stop.
Thank you very much.
Over
Go ahead. Thank you.
To the top of the Arc de Triomphe, which, fair warning, is quite a few steps up, but trust me, it's worth the effort.
Arc de Triomphe is fantastic. It's a beautiful point to take a beautiful picture.
They have a fence to keep you in, but you can stick your camera lens right through it. I got away with shooting on a tripod, which enabled me to film a time lapse of the city at night. It's really easy to do. Just put the phone on a tripod, open the camera app, select time lapse mode, and let it roll for a good 15 to 30 minutes. While you're up there, of course, there's more than just the Eiffel Tower. There's great shots of the entire city, as you can see right here. Here's a really cool iPhone trick. Watch these cars disappear in live photos. Check it out. You shoot the normal way, make sure that you have live photos on, then take your photo, open up the Photos app, and you'll see a little drop-down window at the top. Go from live to long exposure, and the car disappears. Okay.
Whoa. Thank you. That's Jefferson Graham's Photo Walks. Photo Walks TV is on YouTube. It's debuting. That entire thing. That was a little trailer. It's part of of the whole show, which
cool.
debuts today or tomorrow?
Today. It's today, exclusively to the Mark Thompson viewers.
Thank you. Photo Walks TV, everybody. So, but let me just ask you about that last thing you did.
Yeah.
So you shoot the scene without anything there, and then you shoot. Just walk me through it again. I'm a little slow.
Live photos is a gimmick that Apple introduced 4 or 5 years ago that gives you a snippet of video in your photo. Are you familiar with that? Have you seen that?
No,
I
haven't.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about.
It's a fun little gimmick, and it basically gives you a little video. And one thing that and then you could do a bounce, which means goes back and forth. You could do a loop, never ending, or long exposure. Long exposure, I've got shots of the water that looks all dreamy and cloudy and cool. But you could also make cars disappear of the Champs-Élysées by basically taking a regular picture and then putting on long exposure, and the car disappears, as I showed you. Now, it's hit and miss, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's the beauty of digital, is just take a bunch of photos and see what happens.
Wow, it's really cool. And, you know, it seems like these are little things you can do to sort of just really jump like big time with the kinds of pictures you're taking. That's what I love. It's not like, you know, first you get one of these, then you go to Amazon and you order another one of those, and then you hook these two together and you get a USB cable. No, it's none of that. It's all right there. That's what I love about your show. So
Jefferson, and you know, the great thing about the iPhone is that, you know, the camera's so wonderful. The bad news is that they put so much stuff in it that most people don't know what any of it is. I mean, Live is 5 years old. You weren't familiar with it.
I didn't know. Yeah, I don't know. Right.
So I do everything when I'm up there. I do photos at every lens. I do wide, medium, and close up. I do time lapse. I do slow mo. I do live photos. I do it all because why not?
Yeah. It's so funny to have come through the world of film, right? When I was growing up, you had to watch how many pictures you took. You only had 36 on a thing, and then you pull it out, and then you put 36 more in there. Now with the digital, you can do what you're talking about, which is just pop, 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 pop. I'm going to adjust it. Pop, 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 pop.
5,000 images I shot in Paris.
Wow.
Because I could.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, someone who's a professional like yourself probably could, you know, you probably did shoot a ton prior, but still now all of us can shoot a ton because it costs nothing. So there was a question about battery life in Paris because you were doing so much shooting all day. How do you handle that problem?
Power banks. A power bank is a little thing that you can buy on Amazon for $20 to $30 and give you an extra 8 hours or longer of battery, and you had to have it. I don't have one on my desk, but people look up Anker, ANKER, power bank, and you know, you can't leave home without them because, like, first of all, you know, we all know how the battery goes away when we use our phones. When you're shooting all morning, it really goes away. So you're pretty much by 11 or 12, you're toast. But with the power bank, you're good for the rest of the day. And so the power bank, you charge up before you leave the room, USB, and then you have to have your traditional lightning cable, USB lightning cable to plug into the phone.
Mary's saying you should have a half-hour iPhone photography class, and that's really what Photo Walks TV is. I mean, he walks you through. What you're getting here now is a sliver of what you get on Photo Walks TV. So if you like this, you should definitely check it out and subscribe because Jeff's got all this stuff, and then he expands on all of it and walks you through it, and you can actually see how it's done. So the actual trip to Paris, you were there for, I feel like you were there for a couple of weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Right. So that's a ton of pictures to wade through. But that's, I guess, just a fun exercise to go through.
I wouldn't call it fun.
Oh, really?
It was tough. Yeah. Here's how it goes. Okay. It starts off with, boy, these pictures are awful. I wish I had done a better job. Right. And then as you start deleting, they get better and better and better. So you're from 5,000 down to 3,000 down to 200. I think I had it down to 300. And then it's pretty good. I have a webpage up on my website, jeffersongraham.net. People could check out my Paris gallery. I've got 50 of them up there. And I think now it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all your stuff looks really good. I want to,
But Mark, the secret is editing. The secret is editing. I mean, you just want to see the best pictures first, not all the junk. And you're going to shoot junk. That's just the way it is.
Go back to Kim's question because I thought it was a good one because we all just are transfixed by these sunsets and we just want to somehow keep transfixed is a ding word, by the way. The idea that somehow you're seeing the sunset, but you can't bring it to life in your picture the way you're seeing it. I mean, that, of course, stands to reason, but you'd like some facsimile of it. Facsimile is a ding word.
Well, first of all, shoot wide. Shoot on the widest lens generally is you want to see the expanse of everything, right? So with most smartphones, we have 2 or 3 lenses, ultra wide, wide, and telephoto. Don't shoot a sunset at telephoto. It doesn't look very good. Most sunsets are done wide. So shoot wide and be willing to stand there for a while. If you want to get the sun right as it hits the water, okay, that's fine. But right afterwards is when the colors
come to life. The last thing I would, I just wanted to mention the exposure, the automatic exposure can screw you on a sunset. So just tell Kim how to avoid that automatic exposure problem.
How do we do it?
You hold your finger on it.
You hold your finger over it. You hold your finger and bring it down. That definitely helps.
It's really helpful. Yeah.
I was shooting because I just came back from San Diego on the next trip, and I was shooting sunrises. And when I got there, they were too bright. The iPhone was saying it was bright when it really wasn't because they were doing all the computational stuff. So I brought it down by 2 stops, and that really helped.
Yeah, computational is a ding word. I'm really excited for this. I can't wait to see the full show. It's at PhotoWalks TV. You get such great love on this show. The audience really gets you, enjoys these tips, and I hope you'll come back again soon. So, Jefferson Graham, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, Jeff.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh, wait a minute.
The Mark Thompson Show.
See what? See the...
I was trying to show you my
jumping ahead of me.
I was trying to show you my sunset picture. Just didn't work.
Oh, it's the sunsets are something we all try to capture. So I appreciate your you chasing the.
You could do it again.
You want to do it now? Is that what you're saying?
Are you talking about? Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Kim.
Oh.
You just can't share something when we're in a transition.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry about. Let's see if I can share it. I mean, it's not very important. I don't know if you guys can see it now.
Oh yeah, that's nice actually.
Well, it's like just I guess
it's a little blown out though. Yeah, it's a little blown out.
And it's nothing.
You could
like
probably
what it
fix that in post, maybe. I don't know.
I guess what
Jefferson is saying shot too early.
Oh, shot too early. Okay.
Bring Jeff back. Can I bring Jeff back?
Yes.
And it's
Jeff,
like it's just this flaming ball of blood. But he's right. You know, maybe if I'd taken it when the sun went down.
Jeff, tell Kim how she could have improved this, please, quickly.
Just 2 minutes later. Right now, the sun is blowing everything out, and had it come down just a little bit, 5 minutes later, it would be more impressive. It's a beautiful setting and a really nice shot. And yes, you could fix it in post as well. But just another 2 to 5 minutes would have greatly improved.
I would say this, Jeff, and I'm just an amateur, but as an amateur, I like her composition with the...
Yeah, composition's great.
Yeah, really. So she did a really good job. Like the elements are there for a really great picture. It just is that it's a little too early. So
there's a software. Let me just plug my favorite free app. It's called Lightroom Mobile, Adobe Lightroom Mobile. Download this, Kim, and you could easily tweak this photo and make it look incredible. I always say that with I can improve any photo within like 5 seconds just by pushing it through an app and playing around with things that are available to us for free.
Oh, cool! Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Jefferson Graham, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
I've got a quick story just before we go to Kim's News and then Friday Fabulous Florida. The bid to buy Parler on the part of Kanye, did you see that? That has gone down now. Well, along with... the celebrity and the right-leaning rival of Twitter mutually agreed to call off the deal. Let me see if I can look at the
Was it the Nazi thing?
The Nazi thing didn't help him, I don't think.
Oh, man.
Too bad none of those Nazis wanted to ride to his rescue on that. He's a big fan of the Nazis. Parliament Technologies would like to confirm, this is the official word from Parler. Parliament Technologies would like to confirm that the company has mutually agreed with Ye to terminate the intent of sale of Parler. This decision was made in the interest of both parties. Ye, as you know, formerly Kanye, has spent the last few weeks on an extended anti-Semitic tirade. Right? How about that for an extent? Those are the you're going to go with the extended one, right? That's the.
Is that like a Nazi press tour?
Yeah.
Can I ask a Nazi question? I have a Nazi question.
Nazi question from Kim. Sure, please.
Is it true that Nazis also don't like black people?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly right. It's white supremacy straight up.
That's what I thought. Like it's
so you're right. It's an
equal
odd thing,
opportunity, discrimination. So why would a black person like Nazis? It doesn't make sense.
It's maybe the enemy of my enemy. Apparently he's really a Jew hater, and maybe it's like, hey, first, and then when they turn on him, he's like, oh, wait a minute, I was for offing those people, not me.
Oh,
but he showed up with a black hood on, and he's stepped off the curb, obviously. But I think he was a troubled, sick guy before that. A lot of people are going, this is all his disease. It's a mental disease. I'm sure it is, but I also feel as though this guy is. He's got some toxic thoughts,
Plus ego. He's like Trump. He's doubling down.
Oh my God, yes. Ego. He went on Fox News' Tucker Carlson tonight. That's what it's called. An InfoWars. He said every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler. That's right. I'm not really, literally never heard anyone say that. Usually it's couched in some way. He's living out loud, man. Anyway, his bid to purchase Parler has fallen through. As you know, most of his sponsorships have fallen through as well. Nike stepped away. Wow, Nike looks like the most brilliant company ever after all of this. So what are we doing, John? Are we going to Kim's News and then Florida, and then we'll do some shout-outs?
News.
News, Mark. Come on, news. All right, great to be here. Hey, do me a favor on a Friday. Smash that like button like a boss. Give me a like, thumbs up. It costs nothing. It means so much to us. Thank you. And Friday, fabulous Florida next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. President Biden is approving a bill to prevent a national railroad strike. The measure forces a deal between freight railroads and their unions, averting a December 9th shutdown. The president said the resolution will ensure that the United States avoids an economic catastrophe, as the railroads are the backbone of the supply chain. Americans taking home more money. Woo! It's part of the latest jobs report. The Labor Department says average hourly earnings went up by 18 cents in November. The average wage is now $32.82 an hour. Californians are remembering the 7th anniversary of a terrorist attack in San Bernardino today. Authorities say 14 people died and 22 were injured when a man and his wife opened fire during a work training event at the Inland Regional Center in 2015. There's a virtual event taking place where that shooting happened. Cryptocurrency company FTX looking at even more issues after filing for bankruptcy. The Department of Justice is asking for the appointment of an independent examiner in this case. They want that person to be looking into substantial, serious allegations of fraud, dishonesty, and incompetence. Public health officials in Los Angeles County strongly considering issuing new indoor mask mandates. The county is back on the CDC's medium COVID activity level, averaging more than 2,700 new infections a day. And that equals a 180% increase since the start of November.
What county was that?
That is Los Angeles County.
Wow. That's not good.
You could be looking at another indoor mandate for masks.
Yeah.
A federal court judge is letting TGI Fridays off the hook in a lawsuit over the restaurant chain's mozzarella sticks. Why?
No.
Well, a woman is suing because the appetizer doesn't contain any mozzarella. It's made with cheddar.
What? Yes.
It's not a mozzarella stick. What the hell are you
wouldn't
telling?
think so.
So the judge agreed to remove TGI Fridays as a defendant because the chain doesn't actually make the cheese sticks. only licenses its name for the TGI Fridays.
Oh, so they really aren't to blame for the fact that there's no mozzarella in their mozzarella sticks?
If they're selling them, they should back it. But
you know what? Right on, girl. Yeah,
right on.
Right
Judge
on.
disagrees.
Yeah.
Girl, you just woo.
That's right.
Lawsuit against the snack manufacturer Inventure Foods is going forward. By the way, there's no mozzarella in those mozzarella sticks. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, you can reach Steve at 888-TAX-DEAL or online, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson.
I represent the great people of Georgia. I've lived here my whole life.
Let me first say that clip you played where Herschel Walker says I lived in Georgia my whole life is just not true, right? I mean, he lived in Texas. He moved to Georgia to run for the Senate, which is fine. But just to do a little bit of a fact check there. So I have two contradictory thoughts on how big an issue it is. On the one hand, as you mentioned, Walker has been through a lot in terms of allegations about paying for abortions, which he denied. The campaign has been hit with a lot throughout the campaign, and he's still standing, right? And there's value in that, politically speaking. On the other hand, we are days away from the runoff, and this is a very close race. So when you talk about those things, Herschel Walker would rather not be talking about his residency issues tonight and tomorrow on the campaign trail. So little things can make a big difference when we're talking about a really close race with really tight margins.
You found the Mark Thompson Show. You lucky mother.
What's that about? My God. Are you kidding me? Andreas again? Andreas Masouras is rapidly on pace to make the Hall of Fame donor list. You know, we put the names of all of you who've been so great and who have joined through Patreon. The Patreon link is on our website, which is themarkthompsonshow.com. So that's a place where we recognize all of you. And I also told you in the new year we're going to have some special events, and I think that's really going to be great. And the Patreon people and patrons, the monthly patrons and supporters, they're going to have an inside track. But we're tracking everybody even as they donate here. So it's a big job. John is on top of it so that nobody gets left out who's been so supportive financially, because sadly, that's what we need. But now to Andreas. This guy is there every day. He's sometimes in the chat before we even go on, making contributions. Can't say enough. I'm not going to do it, Kim. I'm not going to.
Oh,
but if I were going to.
You need a hug?
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
Andreas Masouras. Mark, if you and Nikki will do a get-together, not expensive, in a bar for drinks, it would be good to promote and talk about 2023. Good luck. I take a meeting on that. You know, I'm for any place where we meet in a bar. You had me at bar. So it's
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
Mostly, I so appreciate your, and I'm going to give you a big shout out, and I'm going to give
Thank
you a
you so much.
and I'm going to give you a British thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you, Andreas. Really do appreciate it. $10. P.S. We can buy our own drinks.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you a Will Smith. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a thank you. So cool, Andreas. Thank you. You can leave us super stickers. You can also leave us super chats. Tony in San Antone. Shout out to San Antone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony, and a big shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah. He's been a longtime listener and supporter from San Antonio, Texas. Love that, Tony. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Michelle Forbes with a super sticker. Big shout out, Michelle.
Big shout out.
Mm-hmm. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Walter Nobrega for $4.99. Thank you so much. Practice aloha. Isn't it true?
Right
Walter,
on, Walter.
isn't it true? Let the spirit of aloha carry you.
Thank you so much.
Mike Hendricks for $5. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very
Give you
much.
a Will Smith. Thank you very much. Albert Cubillos, $4.99, or maybe they say it Cubillos here in this country. Can you ask Steve for examples of pricing for tax planning and to do a tax return? I'll ask him that Now, in a moment, Albert Cubillos or Cubillos, thank you for $4.99.
Thank you very much.
Very cool. K-Wayne 68, or as we like to say, Quayne. Was that it? Or Kwane? Is that how we screwed it up the first time? Anyways, K-Wayne 68, $1.99. Does Santa shop at where? Does Santa shop at someplace?
At Sam's.
Oh, well, if he's looking for a Movado watch,
you can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
That's right. If Santa's looking for a Movado watch, that's the place to get it. Lynn Shemshoyan, $9.99. Oh, 99 cents. Every little bit helps. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn, so much for being part of things. You can leave us super stickers and super chats. It's one of the ways we keep the lights on here, so thank you very much. It's not Florida, but just returned from Texas. While taking a picture, a guy asked me, where are you from? I said, California. He said, we don't say that word here. Oh, my God.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Well, Texas, they got a way to do stuff down there, man. That's for sure. But we got our San Antonio connection with Tony, so that's really, really cool. I want to check in with Steve Moskowitz really quick. Can I do that? Mm-hmm. Hang on. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
He is our guy. He is our elite and exclusive sponsor. He's Steve Moskowitz, and you saw that chat, Steve, from one of our listeners. I think it's hard for you to know how big a job you have from somebody who's a potential client, just like with a little question like that. But the idea is, go ahead.
I mean, basically what we do is we're not just some one size fits all, in and out shop. Basically what we do is we talk with a client, we get a situation, and then we quote them a fee, much like, how much does a house cost? Well, where is it? What's the size? And so on.
Sure.
And obviously everybody cares about cost. But the thing is, we're also going to talk about, would you benefit from tax planning? Here it is. It's December 2nd. And, we've talked about 3 different types of tax planning. The one that most people do, which is absolutely nothing. And then they complain about their taxes in next year, March. There's year-end tax planning. We do that. Well, it's December 2nd, so you have to hurry up because some things need to be done by December 31st. But the best tax planning is year-round tax planning. And that's where we can save people a lot of money. And just like we talked about yesterday, we want to leave no stone unturned. And we talked about an ERC client who was turned away by a CPA. And the reason is, and we talked about it, a lot of CPAs are just doing the easy way. It's so easy the first way. It's math. 1 + 1 = 2. That's the right answer. Nothing to think about. Yes or no. Keep it moving. And they have their practices set up like McDonald's, where it's just high volume, keep it moving, keep it moving. We don't. We actually, old-fashioned, we actually talk to people. And in talking with this client yesterday morning, the CPA left $1.5 million on the table of ERC money. Imagine if this gentleman had not heard of me and called me for the second opinion. He'd say, oh, well, CPA told me I don't qualify. And he would have had to turn his back on that $1.5 million. So that's why it's so important to individualize. We're talking to that client, John Smith, not Mary Jones, because what's right for Mary Jones can be very different than what's right for John Smith. That's why it's so vitally important to speak to each person and say, what do you need? Just like a doctor examining you. The medicine that's going to save your life would kill the person next to you. That's why it's so vitally important.
It's such a great point, and it's just the one size fits all, I think, is also a great point. But I just love that notion. You did mention it yesterday, I guess, because you're fresh off this discovery, $1.5 million for someone who didn't even realize that pot of gold was there.
And then he's told by his CPA, you don't qualify. My God.
It's utter insanity, utter insanity. Please check in with Steve Moskowitz on any tax issue, and it can be tax year-end planning. It can be organizations, and Steve can find you money and also help you with tax exposure. You pay into this government. You don't have to pay every last dollar you have to this government. And that goes for, obviously, state and federal returns as well. And as I say, sole proprietor, whatever your situation is, Steve is 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL, 888-TAX-DEAL. Thanks, Steve.
And Mark,
thanks so
one
much.
last thing. I just saw a message from Tiffany. We have a whole estate planning department. And what we do differently, a lot of lawyers, when they do estate planning, talk about one size fits all. They just say, here, sign this. You won't understand it anyway. We don't do that. We have an estate planning department. And again, old school, we actually talk to you. What do you need? And we explain the law as it applies to you. And here's everything you can do, including some things you can do, but you don't want to, and why. And before we do anything, we have a nice conversation with you. We explain everything to you. And then what happens is we do a draft, and then we come back and have another meeting with you, go over everything. I'm so happy and proud to say that our clients are among the few that actually know what they have and why they have it. So the bottom line is, yes, we absolutely have a whole estate department, and we're happy to do your estate work, living trust, the whole works.
And the meetings you talk about are so easy now. You know, you can virtually meet with Steve, you know, immediately. It's remarkable. His whole team available to connect in the ways that we connect every day now. So great stuff. Steve Moskowitz, everybody. MoskowitzLLP.com. Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Smash that like button like a boss, if you would, for me on this Friday. If you're in, you know, like costs you nothing to hit the thumbs up. I do it with every video I watch, pretty much. So I would love it to get to, you know, the likes too. That's important to us because, and this is the stuff you got to worry about when you're on YouTube now. Algorithmically, the number of likes you have versus the number of, you know, views you have, that's all important. So thank you for doing that. All right, without any further delay, Fridays bring us to a state that never disappoints. The weird, the sick, the gross, the bizarre, sometimes the shocking. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A 10-year-old girl fights off a shark, and then she tells the story in the way that 10-year-olds tell stories. Jasmine Carney is her name, and listen to her story.
When Florida attacks, a 10-year-old girl fights back.
Jasmine Carney was at a beach in Jupiter Island. She was bitten by a shark. Well, she kicked it and then ran away. Jasmine is now in the hospital. She's recovering from a bite to her foot, but she says she's got quite the story to tell.
Something grabbed me, so I'm like, don't you touch me. It looked pretty big, and it was gray. It hurt, so I'm like, kick it, run away.
I love the sound effects. The shark's like, what have I gotten into?
Yeah.
Her doctor says she should be better in a month or two. So that's good news. Her spirits seem good there for sure.
Yeah.
Was that the Batman theme? Kind of sounded like Batman.
It did have a Batman feel. You're right about that.
She's awesome.
She's pretty cool. She's got a story to tell for the rest of her life, you know. A family has slammed a Florida court's decision to accept a plea deal with no jail time for a college student in Florida who killed the couple, then chewed on the victim's face.
Ew.
The Florida judge, excuse me, accepted a plea deal that allowed 25-year-old Austin Haroof to plead not guilty by reason of insanity to the murders of a couple savagely stabbed to death in the garage of their home. And they got expert testimony in this case that suggested that he was, you know, not of his right mind.
Oh, wow.
But that was enough to carry with, yeah, like, hey, dude, I get that he's not in his right mind, but, you know, you want to. So the former college student's plea for this random killing of apparently a well-loved couple, allowing this 25-year-old to plead guilty by reason of insanity and avoid jail time. He was found by police, this Austin Haroof, chewing off one of the victim's faces. Yeah, it's not a pretty scene.
What?
Yeah. But he'll now be sent. What? I'm sorry.
What's
Go
the
ahead.
drug that makes people do that in Florida? They're eating something.
Bath salts.
Bath salt. That's right. He was on bath salts. That's the face-eating drug.
That's pure speculation.
Oh yeah,
That is pure
That's
speculation.
not proof.
Where is my
There's
speculation
no
drop?
evidence to back that up.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
our
it looks
favorite
pretty-
kind of. That's our favorite.
That's pure speculation.
There it is.
That's pure speculation.
Okay. I don't have it in the. I've got it in the system, but I can't get
That's
it.
pure speculation.
Okay. The decision did not sit well with the families of John Stevens, 59, and Michelle Stevens, 53, the two victims in this case. And what they're going to do is take this double murderer, this awful guy, and put him in a hospital until it's determined that he's not a threat to society anymore. Then he's going to be let out. I'm kind of on their side. I would find that key. I'd open up the cell, I'd put him in it, and then I'd lose that key. That's what I would do. A Florida man fatally stabs a mom because she never pushed him to be a man. He's 21 years old. Wow, this is a violent Friday Fabulous Florida. This may be our most violent, John. Jeez, what is it?
That's pure speculation.
Well, okay, you're right. I have to actually go back.
The first one was yours. This one was mine.
Oh, I see. Lay it off on the host, why don't you?
No, it's 50-50.
All right.
That's pure speculation.
A 21-year-old man fatally stabbed his mother this week because she never, quote, pushed him to be a man, said the authorities. Cops found one woman dead inside a residence in Kissimmee. Is that how they say it?
Kissimmee.
Knife wounds to her stomach. Her daughter with severe lacerations to her hand. Deputies from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office located this woman and the woman's son, Matthew Stewart Sisley, covered in blood a short distance from the home and placed him in custody on Tuesday. He confessed to the bloody assault during an interview with investigators. He said, "I killed her because she never pushed me to be a man." Wow.
This is really superficial, but both of these murders, they look like normal. They're like good looking. I know it's superficial, but they don't look like murderers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should show the. Can you? This kid is handsome. It's like a shame. John's right. It's a shame that this guy turns into this monster.
Get it.
But he is monstrous, as is the first guy. But then his explanation is even more bizarre. But I'd love to get the pickup for you. Here, you see him? If you're looking right now live on YouTube, you can see it, or replay on YouTube. He's a good-looking kid, man, 21 years old. How, I know that doesn't matter for anything, but in a way it's just surprising,
I don't know if it's
I'll put it this way. You don't look at that guy, right? You don't look at that guy and go, oh, that guy's going to be trouble, where we do with some people.
Yeah.
Is
that the first guy?
That's the first guy. The first guy looks like a guy who could be in some trouble.
Well, it looks like he's like, I don't know, maybe a murder apprentice.
Yeah, understudy.
Like first day, first day on the job.
The regular murderer can't make it on stage. He'll be, he'll fill in. Anyway, an extremely negligent, as he was called, Florida man accused of shooting the daughter. What is going on, John? This is the most violent Friday Fabulous Florida. Oh, my God.
Drugs, man, drugs.
Oh, man. All right, this is in Port St. Lucie, Florida. A Florida man charged with... Here's what happened. He had an AR-15 rifle, and he accidentally... this is the thing. I mean, it's violent, but it was an accident. He didn't go out. These other two things were deliberate. This is, the AR-15. All the kids love the AR-15s, right? You can buy one now, like, what? They throw it in with a bottle of gin in Florida. He buys this AR-15, and he accidentally shoots his daughter with it.
Oh, no.
The day before Thanksgiving. So it's...
How old is the daughter?
The daughter... He is 35. He was on the couch showing his underage son how to clean the AR-15 rifle. He set it down on a TV tray. The tray tipped over. The gun fired. And the daughter is shot in the hip or lower abdomen area.
It doesn't look like they released the age.
Oh.
They reported the victim needed extensive care, was rushed into surgery. She's still recovering in the hospital 1 week after the shooting. Weber said that he believed the gun was not loaded at the time. And he is, quote, experienced at handling firearms.
Well,
Yeah,
this is
real
very Rust,
experience.
like Alec Baldwin.
No, man, is it ever. He also said, quote, I've handled several different type of calibers of firearms for several years. Weber's son told cops, and this might be an important point, that his father drinks daily and had 5 drinks on the afternoon of the shooting. I think some alcohol was involved.
That's pure speculation.
No, I don't think this. I think the speculation is done. There's a connection. So he's been booked on aggravated child abuse, using a firearm while under the influence of alcohol, and culpable negligence.
That's pure speculation.
No, that's not speculation. That's what he was booked on. And culpable is a ding word. Wow. That's very Florida. That may be the most Florida story because she's still alive. She made it. Although I have this for you. Epcot visitor chugged beers, almost fell off the Disney Skyliner platform.
What? I didn't think you could drink at Disney. I guess you can, huh?
Apparently, the drinking's in at the...
This is Epcot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Epcot Center, exactly. Lake Mary, Florida. Where's Lake Mary? John, do you know where it is?
Down the street from Whole Foods.
No, there's a Whole Foods there.
That's pure speculation.
I think you take Route 1 past the Whole Foods to get there.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, a guest at Walt Disney World's Epcot Park was arrested after deputies said that he caused a disturbance, possibly endangering himself and others, during the Food and Wine Festival, everybody. That's why there's drinking, Kim.
Well, yeah, they have a pavilion that represents, like, not every country, but a lot of the countries around the world.
I see.
And basically the thing that people do on the younger side of the spectrum is they start at the beginning and they go from country to country. And by the time you get to the last country,
you're loaded.
Yeah.
And falling off the platform.
Germany will serve Jaeger, right?
I see. Yeah. You can't really get out of Germany sober, is what you're telling me, right?
That's pure speculation.
Well, it is speculation, but I think it's probably true. According to Parks,
blaming the Germans again. It all comes back to the Nazis.
At the Food and Wine Festival, yeah, the Nazi Pavilion hasn't gone up at Epcot. That would be the Kanye gift that he wants to sponsor. The right next to the German Pavilion would be the Nazi Pavilion.
There you go.
They're tougher, to be fair. Just to step out of it for a second, they're tougher about Nazi speech and hate speech in Germany than we are in this country. Way tougher. According to Park security and the deputy, they won't put up with it. Like, there's none of that crap. They won't let that go down in Germany. According to park security and a deputy, Chase Holderby, 30, of Merritt Island, Florida, was being very loud and stumbling around the American Adventure Pavilion. Witnesses said he quickly chugged down 2 beers in approximately 30 seconds.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
Well, yes.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
I heard you the first time. We observed the subject shaking everyone's hand in line, high-fiving people, and stumbling while in line. A few minutes later, Holderby was involved in a verbal argument. Of course, that's where it goes. Starts happy. The stages of drunkenness usually starts happy, and then it goes, ugly. He was in a verbal argument with the members of his party near the Japan Pavilion. By the time Holderby arrived at the Morocco Pavilion, park security asked him to, if you guessed leave, give yourself a ding. Yes. We followed Holderby to the International Gateway exit. This is a quote, obviously. We followed Holderby to the International Gateway exit where he took his shirt off and continued asking what he had done wrong. As Holderby headed toward the Disney Skyliner gondolas, he continued to yell and ask what he did wrong. Once in the line queue, again continuing with the quote, he continued to act belligerent and caused the crowd of people in line to become alarmed. While attempting to get him into the physical gondola car, he wouldn't initially get in and was dangerously close to falling into the area beneath where the attraction operates. Wow. They stopped the entire transportation system for Holderby's safety. A deputy said after multiple warnings, Holderby was arrested on charges of trespassing and disorderly intoxication. So there's that.
Good day, sir.
Yeah, that's right. They'd had enough. And that, my friends, is Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now, yeah?
Well, I think it's always tough to choose a favorite. There are a couple of very Florida stories here, as you're aware. I'll remind you, we do have to choose a favorite, and I'm anxious in the chat what you think should be the winner for the day.
Why don't you just text it?
You just text it right into the chat. But I'll remind you what the stories are, just to kind of the 10-year-old Florida girl who fights off the shark, the family that is angry about the court decision to accept the plea deal with no jail time for the student who killed a couple and chewed one of the victims' faces off, the Florida man stabbing his mom because she never pushed him to be a man, the Florida man who accidentally shoots his daughter with the AR-15 rifle while drunk and showing his son how to clean it, the Florida man accused of drunkenness in Disneyland because he went nuts at Epcot Center after chugging beers and almost falling off the Disney Skyliner platform. I ask you for your favorite, Kim McAllister.
Shark Girl's pretty cool. I love her near, but drunkenness at Epcot, I mean, how much more Florida? And the thing, it's an FFF that can't be beat. I guess if I have to pick, I'm going with Shark Girl.
Wow, Shark Girl gets it in a photo finish. A lot of Shark Girl in the chat, too. I'm just seeing that. Shark Girl says Dora. Julie says no likey violence. I like Shark Girl. Huge in Japan says Shark Girl, 100%. Karen says Shark Girl. Shark Girl getting a lot of love. 10-year-old Shark says Karen Cooper. Chuck U. Farley says Shark Girl. Epcot guy says Janet. Eric Kennedy, Shark Girl is cute, but she's still hospitalized. It's true. Well, they don't have to be cute. These are horribly ugly. Joe Box, drinking, stripping, arguing, stumbling, and arrest. Disney's Americana experience. What's your favorite, John?
I was going to go with Florida, but since everyone's going that way, I'm going to go with Epcot guy because I got to give him an A for effort, right? He's in the International Pavilion. He's shaking everyone's hand, right? He's basically a diplomat.
Okay. I'll go with that. I like your conclusion. I'm not sure that I accept your ramp up to conclusion, but all right, doesn't matter. Shark Girl, if you were
entitled to our own opinion, Mark.
Yes, and our own, but not our own facts. You're all entitled to your opinion, but not your own facts. That's the new go-to. The last one is my vote, says Chris. Drunken and shirt off, bath salt chewing face person is my next in the ranked choice voting. Yeah, we should go to ranked choice voting. That's actually a really
coming
clever.
In at number 2, chewing on a
coming in.
face.
That's right. They do this to me all the time. It's Casey in Hollywood, and the winner.
This is Casey Kasem on American Top 40 in Hollywood.
My favorite in Friday Fabulous Florida goes to Drunk Guy at Epcot. Yeah. But we'll all have our favorites, and there are no right answers. All right, Jim Avila joins us next with some analysis. Maybe we'll get Michael Shorian from Georgia, but definitely Avila to weigh in on everything from Congress's stepping in on the railroad strike, moving up the primaries, the South Carolina primaries. That's what Democrats are talking about, so there's much to do. So smash that like button like a boss for me. So we continue. Mark Thompson Show.
I've told you it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. Fewer jobs were created in September and October than previously reported. The U.S. Labor Department says only 269,000 jobs were added in September, 284,000 in October. Overall, it's a combined drop of 23,000. President Biden is approving a bill to prevent what has been described by some as a potentially catastrophic railroad strike. The measure forcing a deal between freight railroads and their unions, averting a shutdown. President Biden said railroads are the backbone of the supply chain, and some 765,000 Americans would have been put out of work within the first 2 weeks of a shutdown. Talk show host Alex Jones is filing for personal bankruptcy. Jones estimating his assets are worth between $1 and $10 million, while his liabilities are between $1 and $10 billion. His company, Free Speech Systems, also filed for bankruptcy in July after he was sued for claiming the Sandy Hook school shooting that took 26 lives was staged. Paul Whelan is in contact with his family after more than a week of not talking with them. The American detained in Russia also spoke with the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, that according to a State Department official. Whelan telling his parents he was moved to the prison hospital, but his brother said he didn't say why or what happened there. ICE claims to have accidentally posted the names and personal information of more than 6,000 people who are not U.S. citizens. A spokesperson for the agency telling ABC News the data breach happened on Monday. The information was up for about 5 hours. Former NFL quarterback Drew Brees reportedly was not struck by lightning while filming a commercial in Venezuela. Brees can be seen on video preparing for the shoot when it looks like lightning struck directly where he was standing. ESPN reporting Brees, he's fine, didn't get hit by lightning, as some speculate the whole thing may have been a big stunt. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. If you need help with your taxes, give Steve a call. He's at 888-TAX-STEAL or online at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
What he's got going here is a situation.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
Calling me a liar? Now what you calling me?
You, sir, are a liar.
You are a cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
Liar, your pants are on fire!
Google told me.
Can you let him finish, sir? It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
How about it? I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a Friday, and I'm stepping right back into some This Is Love. Sharon Kidd, regular listener, viewer, and someone who contributes regularly as well. Sharon, thank you so much. I don't know what to say. I know you're here a lot, and you're also someone who contributes a lot. So, like everyone else, I'll give you a big shout out.
Big shout out.
I also feel like you get, not going to cry.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
But the fact that you're in Willits, I love Willits, special place in my heart, and I'll give you a thank you.
Thank you so much.
A British thank you so much. Gail Guthrie, so glad I live in California. Thanks again for another great week. And Florida Folly. Yeah, boy, I mean.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you a Will Smith. Thank you very much. And thank you for the 1999. That is just so cool.
Thank you.
I'll give you 4 thank yous. Harry Magnan, I can't make it to the Red Jack Saloon for a drink. So here it is, $10. Yeah, somebody will use that to buy a drink.
Thank you so much.
We haven't quite put that together yet, but I do think it will. Andreas again. Push for Mark and Nikki. $10. Yeah, well, that's right. At the saloon, maybe.
Thank you so much.
I'll do it if Jim Avila's there. Andreas Masuras, $10 for the party. Wow, Andreas.
Thank you.
You are the coolest, pal. Thank you so very much. Karen Combs, $9.99. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
And all of you who have been part of the super sticker. Jim Avila, who is in the green room right now. Wait a minute.
Jim!
Wait, there's no cover charge.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry, but I'm close. I'm close to.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not gonna cry.
Thank you, Jim Avila. Big shout out.
Big shout out.
Richard Bennett, 810 for more bong hit drops. We haven't hit the, oh, you mean like the stay at home and get baked? Is that what you mean?
Stay at home and get baked.
Yeah. Love my weed smokers. Love them. You really do. So, Chris B, $4.99 for reading my text. Thanks, Chris. My pleasure. Jim Slayton, $4.99. Happy Friday.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jim. Are there still federal credits for solar installs? We'll have to ask Steve that. I think there are, actually.
Thank you for the
$1.99.
I think I read something about the new rates make it less of a good deal.
They undid them completely, and now they sort of reinstituted them. I don't know what the latest is, but thank you very much. Wow, that was really quite the blizzard of contributions, so thank you very much. I will tell you to hit the like button. That helps us. And now, without any further delay, this guy, senior correspondent for ABC for so many years, also White House correspondent for so many years for ABC, a brilliant mind and analyst on politics. I'm really honored to have him here with us. Jim Avila, everybody. Come on, put it together for Jim. Yeah.
Well,
what's up with you, today. Jim Avila? Thank you so much for being a regular listener, viewer, and contributor. Very, very cool.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate being here. I just should say that it's a little ass backwards that I'm paying you money, but
I can't argue with that. I've turned in. Both of us worked in industries where we didn't ever have to appeal to the public for money. I mean, I think I did PBS telethons, and I did, muscular dystrophy or whatever, you know what I mean? Retinitis pigmentosa, whatever it was. I was raising money for. I wasn't raising money for my ability to continue broadcasting. That was always covered. So it is a crazy spot.
I always tell when I get a request to do things, I tell them, I'd love to do it, but it's not a hobby.
Right. That is probably something I should remember to say as well. But I'm so delighted that you're here, and in the rich tradition of our show, you'll get nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly right. But buy you a dinner here and there. That's about it. John? Will you try to ride herd over the bots? Thank you. The bots who get into the. Once in a while, get into the chat. I want to ask you about a couple of things. It was a bad week for Donald Trump. I kind of have led that in our headlines today, and I was waiting to discuss it with you. You can tell me why it was a tough week. This is a guy who's used to grinding through the justice system, putting off all kinds of lawsuits, essentially playing the delay game. He got the special master. No one could see his taxes for a long time. What's happened this week that kind of begins to cook Donald Trump?
Well, I think what irks him the most probably is that he is the court has ordered that he, an appeals court, so he still has one more step, I think, has ordered him to release his taxes, and not to us, but to the House committee investigating January 6th. The question is what they're going to do with them, and they'll probably have to do it before the end of this month, because then we go into the next House, which is run by the Republicans, and that's a whole other set of issues. I think I know what they've done already is they've said that they're going to. So they've written a letter to the House Select Committee telling them not to destroy any documents, which they weren't going to do anyway. But what that means is they're going to attempt to go over it again and go over some of those documents and look for misstatements and make it a big clown show about how there were mistakes here, maybe call some witnesses back and try to embarrass them. What the problem is with all this is that the biggest problem for me, we're going to have to listen to Jim Jordan again. I do not miss him. The guy who was
he's a fire-breathing dragon of
wrestling coach who let kids get abused while he was not looking.
That's right.
I don't want to hear him anymore. He's just terrible. You're going to hear more of Kevin McCarthy. We're going to hear those ridiculous claims over and over again. So that's the one development that is probably bothering Trump the most, is his taxes may be made public. We may actually see that he's not as rich as he thinks he is, and we see how many dealings he's had with Russia, and we'll see if he is in fact cheating on his taxes. So that will be interesting. And he can no longer say, I'm being audited. The other thing that happened was that his he has been his shield by that Florida judge who was ordering delay after delay for the Justice Department to look into what kind of documents he had and to explore them and to use them to punish him or to charge him with a crime, has been thrown out. And so that judge is no longer relevant. The DOJ has access to those documents now and can use them, although there could be an appeal on that as well to the Supreme Court. But he hasn't been doing that well with the Supreme Court, even though
he hasn't been doing that well with
folks.
any court, aside
He's
from
been
the one
losing
judge
at
that you
Supreme
mentioned.
Court.
Yeah.
His record as a loser continues, and that's probably irking him a bit too. So much losing.
I mean, he has criminal cases that he has to deal with as well, Jim Avila. Hello, Jim, you got it? He has criminal cases, is what I was saying, as well. And in fact, his companies right now are in court. They're suing, and Weisselberg, who is his former executive, there are now accusations of, this is what it's all about, is sheltering money and removing money and not paying executives with certain taxable income, but instead paying off in gifts. I mean, there was a lot of untaxed income that the government is after, and those were all benefits paid to Trump executives that they're in these different ways. Weisselberg just is the poster child for that. There were others along the way. So,
a little disappointing in the deal that was made with Weisselberg, because it allowed him to kind of squeak through and not he only revealed things that happened with the Trump organization. He would not reveal stuff that nailed Trump himself, which was a disappointment. Maybe that's all they can get. I'm not in those negotiations. Obviously, neither are you. But they got something, but they didn't get enough. There's still lots of stuff to come out of New York and in Georgia, where he's losing battle after battle there too, including having to have guys like Lindsey Graham testify or at least take the fifth before the grand jury.
To Jim's point, Weisselberg turned state's evidence to save himself from a lengthy prison sentence, agreeing to testify in exchange for a shorter jail term. He didn't say anything that implicated Trump's companies in wrongdoing. He's atoning for his sins, says his lawyer. But as part of the plea deal, the prosecution forced him, she continues, to testify against the company that he helped to build. Now the prosecution's case rests on one thing, trying to convince you, the jurors, this is said obviously in the closing summation, that Mr. Weisselberg's actions were done in behalf of the company. It's likely they were done in behalf of the company, but that's her defense. Anyway, that's what's going on in Trump land. Go ahead.
No, I mean, Trump has had a bad week. And also there continues to be evidence that this new special prosecutor is a serious person who is aggressively taking on Donald Trump. And I really believe, I mean, there's a whole spectrum of political thought on this, from he's going to get away with it all to he's going to be indicted tomorrow. I think it's going to be in the spring before summer that I think he will face indictment, most likely indictment on January 6th stuff. I think they'll let him, my own analysis of this is that I think that they might let him squeak by with some kind of fine or hand slapping on the documents material, although that is terrible, and I don't think that should be the case. But there hasn't been any evidence revealed. In fact, there was some evidence revealed that he was not involved in trying to sell that material or give that material to our enemies. So if he wasn't doing that, if they don't find any evidence that he was doing that, if it was just an ego grab, which is not hard to believe, I've kind of said from the beginning, I thought that he's done this because he thinks everything is his, and he just grabbed it and took it out and doesn't, wanted to show it to people. He was proud of this love letter he gets from the North Korean leader.
Yeah, but it's one thing to hit the road with a love letter. It's one thing to hit the road with a love letter from Kim, or a couple of love letters, or some kind of Putin thing. By the way, it's not cool. It's not legal, but it's one thing. But then when you leave with 11,000 documents, many of which are top secret, sorry, man. I mean, where does ego? It might be ego. You're right, but it's sort of like it's unfettered. It's ridiculous. It's so completely out of control, Jim. And you're avoiding subpoenas as a result. Yeah,
I don't think they'll allow him to walk, period, on it because of exactly what you say. I do think, however, that he will make some kind of deal, that his lawyers will make some kind of deal where he doesn't get jail time for that, unless they find that he has done something very nefarious with those documents. But as of yet, they've not. So I kind of, and you have U.S. attorneys on this show and you can ask them, but my political judgment is that they will use it to make him look bad. It'll really hurt him in running for a re-election. And they'll slap his hand. Maybe they'll even get some kind of deal where he agrees not to run, but that would be wishful thinking.
Well, nefarious, yeah, is a ding word. The Proud Boys now, and the sentencing there, and January 6th, and you referenced it here. I think there might be another shoe to drop on that, and that could be huge. I think it should be, in my judgment, bigger than it is. I mean, it's crazy. The guy was involved in a coup. I mean, we're talking about him, and we can sensibly talk about him as the presumptive nominee of the GOP in the general election.
Yeah, he definitely.
Why are you yelling?
He
definitely started the thing, and he definitely didn't try to stop it. And I think that he colluded with those who were actively at the Capitol, and I think that's where that and Georgia are where he is in most danger. I think those two things could very well lead to an indictment and a conviction. Always the issue with this is not so much anymore. I mean, he's been damaged so much, I believe, with the general public, not his 30%, but the rest of us, damaged so much that it's going to be very difficult for him to make the argument which was being made early on, and which I kind of listened to, was that it's bad to indict a former president, that it looks bad. I think that's gone away. I think that is not the issue anymore. I think the issue now is if he is criminally culpable and all these other people are going down who just followed his direction and his lead, why isn't he going down? And I think that if there's any way to do this prosecutor will. I think the remaining problem remains. Prosecutors want convictions. And if they think that if they call a jury, although the jury is going to be in Washington, D.C., where he's not very popular, but if they think that if they get a jury in front of a jury, they're going to get one or two that are going to be Trump supporters who are going to in no way vote for him to be guilty, then that's a problem for a prosecutor. And they're worried about that. I think that's an issue.
Am I living in an alternate universe? It's 2022 and he's not in jail? How does this happen? Where there's almost, as Mark said, a coup. What? I just can't. It's like a beating my head against a brick wall situation.
Yeah, and you're right too. I mean, if it was you, you'd be in jail. And the rest of them are in jail, in prison already. I mean, not the ringleaders, and that's the problem. But those guys who were marching on the Capitol, they're all in prison. Now, that was the low-hanging fruit, and I think that's what the Justice Department went after first, and they'll use some of them as witnesses. I think some of the Proud Boys are going to turn when they see that jail ends in their future. That's going to be a problem for Trump. Excuse me. But going after the ex-president himself is a much bigger deal, and they have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's indisputable on one level, and yet, here's a guy, as I say, who was involved in a coup. I get that he was president, but he was involved in a coup. I mean, I don't think you can treat him with the sort of mainstream kid gloves that we've seen other ex-presidents be treated. Nixon comes to mind. All right, so I mean the way there was a pardoning of Nixon.
Don't think I'm defending him. If I had
no,
gavel, he'd be in jail.
No.
So.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm sure you'd like to. I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I don't think you'd be at all bothered to see him go up the river. You mentioned the fact that the special master was taken away. That the appeals court, took out the special master in the documents case. So that whole idea somehow, and he got that judgment from the initial master that was assigned, got that judgment from the Trump picked judge. But apart from that Trump picked judge, he has not, as you said, gotten any kind of air support from any other judge, Trump picked or not, including the Supreme Court justices. I want to turn to something else you said.
And the appeals court too, Mark. This appeals court that overturned the Florida judge, 2 out of 3 were Trump appointees. All of them were Republicans. So he didn't fare well even there. Sorry.
Yeah, and that really is a win for the Justice Department and a loss for Donald Trump. So let's go to I wanted to just touch on the primaries because Joe Biden is pushing for something that I think makes sense. I've never understood why aside from the way the rest of the elections in this country are set up, which is, well, that's the way we've always done it. The Electoral College, it's okay, I get it. It's past its expiration date, as is the primary schedule. Starting in Iowa, it's absurd. You begin and love my Iowans, but it's a lily white state. It doesn't really represent the breadth of America from a demographic standpoint, but more to the point, they have this weird. It's a caucus. It's not even a primary. It's so anyway. My lengthy preamble is to say that Biden has suggested a change, and it's an aggressive change. It's to move on the primary schedule for the Democrats, South Carolina, to the head of the line.
Yeah, and there's reason to that, and despite the fact that he won the South Carolina primary, but the real reason for the country is that it's, of course, more diverse and more reflects the general population of the United States. Although I would argue that while it has a huge black population, which votes Democratic and should have a voice, there are not many Hispanics there, not many Latinos. It seemed to me like a place like California would be a great place to start, which has both African Americans and Latino Americans. So I would push for that, but it seems as though they want to hold that till later on for the big finish. But yes, it's a smart move, and it's totally makes sense. I mean, is he going to make some New Hampshire people mad? And does that mean that New Hampshire's kind of a swing state that that the Dems might not win in New Hampshire? It's maybe, but I think they'll get over it.
I'm getting some questions about the lame duck session, and I want to quickly touch on one thing that I mentioned in the first half hour, and it's regarding our last couple of minutes with Jim Avila. It's regarding the congressional mandate, essentially telling the rail workers to go back to work or risk being fired. They wanted that sick leave. They didn't get it out of Congress. It seems as though it's the thumb on the scale for one side of this negotiation and not for the other.
Look, if I was deciding it, they should get sick pay. I don't think there's any progressive who doesn't believe that they deserve that kind of. It's kind of ridiculous in where we are now. It's like Kim's comment. How can we be in 2022 and not have a sick day one sick day for a rail worker? It doesn't make any sense.
During
the art of the
pandemic,
compromise, unfortunately, which happens
when everybody's getting sick. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's the art of the compromise in politics. In order to get those Republican votes, he had to give something, and he did. They did get I think it's a 25% raise. So perhaps they'll be able to stay home a day without pay and make up for that in the 25%. Also, President Biden says he'll continue to work for them to get for a national sick pay legislation that would demand that employers do 3 to 4 days a year of sick pay. And the railroads are making money hand over fist. I mean, now that we're back in, not post-COVID, but we're pretending like it's post-COVID, and people are working, the railroad lines are full. The supply chain is jammed. they're making money hand over fist, and that they can't afford a sick day or two for their workers is embarrassing, and they ought to be. It's a shameful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing I would just say on this is they wanted a compromise, as you say, to avoid a rail strike or even a temporary shutdown or whatever might have happened to interrupt what is already a struggling economy that's getting back on its feet from the standpoint of the supply chain, right? And all of a sudden you'd have this. This would be a body blow to this economy. So I think there was some of that, or a lot of that was going into this in arithmetic as well, right?
Yeah, but that would also speak to why not give the rail workers what they wanted. I don't think if the rail workers would have gotten the day that the railroads were going to shut down, there was more of a danger of the union employees rejecting this package because it didn't have any sick pay in it.
Right.
So I don't know that figured in the calculations for what the final agreement was.
No. What I was saying is that the desire on the part of Congress and the president to get this done and to essentially, they in my judgment, they sided with management. That was done because they didn't want an interruption in rail service. It's that simple. They could have. Your point is, to get that agreement, they had to eliminate the sick leave. Yeah, they could have forced the sick leave deal on them. Also, they could have mandated the 3 days sick leave, whatever, annually, and then this existing agreement. It was clear that they just, in my judgment, leaned toward management,
and that surprised no one.
Exactly. Right. Jim, I love, you should see the love you get in the chat. People are so glad every time you weigh in. Just great takes, great insights. Jim Avila is a regular here, and we really appreciate it, pal. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And Herschel Walker's going to win in Georgia, by the way. I'm sorry we didn't get to hear from Michael.
Is that, do you really think he'll
Latest
win?
Poll is up 5%, 4%.
Bite your tongue. No.
Wow.
Oh, no, wait. I just misspoke.
Oh, you
take all those nice comments off. I meant to say.
You mean Raphael Warnock? Okay, God.
Warnock
oh my
is
God!
Let me leave.
They're looking at your social media.
They're looking at your social media.
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
Yeah, Obama did a great run. I actually had it ready to go here, but we just are so far behind. I can't run it. But Obama did a whole thing on.
That's great.
Yeah, if before the end of the show, I'll try to run it. Yeah. It's really terrific. Jim Avila, everybody.
That was a terrible error.
Well, it got everybody's attention. I'll tell you that. Jim Avila, everyone.
That Kim was going to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, too
for
good.
a minute.
All right, thanks, Jim. Good stuff. Jim Avila from ABC. Longtime correspondent, White House correspondent as well. Mark Thompson Show. Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, will hook us up with movies and TV. We'll get into that next, I should say. And smash the like button while you're here. Hit us with a thumbs up. Appreciate that. All right, we continue on a Friday Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. President Biden calling on political leaders to reject anti-Semitism. In a tweet, the president said he wanted to make a few things clear, emphasizing that, yes, the Holocaust happened, and that Hitler was a demonic figure. His tweet came after Kanye West made headlines this week for going on an anti-Semitic rant praising Nazis and Adolf Hitler. You wonder why the president has to respond to Kanye West, but I don't know. A new poll suggests most Americans don't have high hopes for the new Congress. A Pew Research Center survey shows 65% of adults believe President Biden and Republican leaders in Congress will be unsuccessful in getting their agendas enacted over the next 2 years. Just about a third believe they will be successful. Early voting for the Georgia Senate runoff election wraps up today. Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock and Republican Herschel Walker squaring off in a race to decide the nation's last Senate seat. The polls will also be open statewide there in Georgia on Tuesday. A drop in people's alertness about COVID could lead to a new deadly variant forming. That's what we need. The World Health Organization's leader says the globe is close to the emergency phase of the pandemic being over, but isn't just there yet. The countries have been easing restrictions for the virus as the peak of it fades, not so in Los Angeles, where an indoor mask mandate is still a possibility. California is leading the way on homelessness solutions. That word from Governor Gavin Newsom as he reveals $240 million is up for grabs to close encampments and get people into housing and shelter. He says that will make streets cleaner and safer. Cities and counties can submit applications to fund the projects. They'll be accepted until the end of June or until the funding runs out. 2 California cities are topping a national list of where people would like to leave the most, and they probably come as no surprise.
Like to leave or like to live?
Like to leave. They
Oh my God!
Get
this
out.
is good. Hold on a second. Let me think. 2 California cities are topping the list of places people most want to leave. What are they? Somebody help me in the chat. What do you think?
Where's the housing crisis the worst?
I would say. It's a photo finish, San Francisco and L.A., right?
Boom, you are the big winner.
Oh, come on. Thank you.
Yeah. A new report by Redfin putting San Francisco first and Los Angeles second. The survey found some in the Bay Area are moving to Sacramento. Most, though, are fleeing Los Angeles for Las Vegas. That's because they can get a home for half of what they were paying in both locations. And the rock band Guns N' Roses is suing an online gun store called Texas Guns N' Roses. The band alleges in Los Angeles federal court that the store is confusing consumers into thinking the website is associated with the band. It's not. The store sells firearms, ammunition, scopes, and body armor through the mail. GNR claims the store is using the name without approval, without license or consent, and the band wants unspecified damages. Now you could get that stuff through the mail. That's a surprise.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
That's right. That's
Texas
right, baby.
Delivered for you, baby.
No offense, Tony. Court sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses. If you need help with your taxes, why not give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can find him online, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens. This is the Mark Thompson Show. Keep it to yourself.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Yeah. I love it. A lot of ladies and gentlemen in today's show, I've noticed. I was on a tour, I'll tell you this real quick, just made me think of it, of Vietnam. And we had a private, coach and, a private guide. It was really quite great, And it cost a lot of money that, it was worth it, though. I just don't want to sound like it. I don't want me to sound like, I went to Vietnam, we had a private tour. It was I really had to reach to make it happen, but it was great. But anyway, so the guys, the young guys, might have been 22, 23. He kept turning to Courtney and myself, and we were in the back seat, obviously, and he turned and he'd go, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen. And then he'd say whatever he had to say. Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen. He would always, it was the weirdest but most charming, fun thing. Ladies and gentlemen. So when I said there's a lot of ladies and gentlemen in the show today, I thought of that. And sometimes Courtney and I will turn to each other and go, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen. Huge in Japan. How about $20 from Huge in Japan? Michael Snyder, Huge in Japan.
Thank you.
I give you 4 thank yous, Huge in Japan. Something awesome about an interactive show like this. I agree. I love the awesome quality of the interactivity, and I also like the community that's forming. Eric Kennedy, $10. Look forward to the Culture Blaster to see if there are any good movies to watch with my son.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric Kennedy, for the $10 in Culture Blaster. I hope you have some good movies for Eric to watch with his son. Sharon Kidd, Sharon, you've already contributed, I think, once today.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my God. Sharon, you are going to... I'm going to give you a big Dan Ashley
Big
shout out.
shout out.
All right. And Jay Carpenter for $4.99.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Jay. Appreciate that very much. It's really cool for the super sticker. Hey, you said my last name right. Thanks, everyone, for the show. Thanks, Steve Moskowitz. I think it was Lynn Shemshoyan. Did I have? Now I feel pressure to say your name.
You said.
Shemshoyan, I said. Okay, yeah, that was it. Thank you, Lynn. Okay. A lot of love for Steve Moskowitz. So I want to bring him on now real quick. Michael Snyder, you'll let me, and then we'll get into some movies and stuff.
The Mark Thompson Show.
How about it for Steve Moskowitz, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, he is Steve Moskowitz. And Steve, was there a question last hour for Steve? Or did we answer them all, Kim? I can't recall now.
I think we answered them all. Yeah,
okay,
we talked about estate planning and
yeah.
And that's a good idea because we do so much in the firm. We're a full service firm, and there's a lot of people in our firm, and we do everything from everybody knows me for tax, tax planning, tax return preparation, special projects in tax like the ERC we talk about, but we have monthly services that include all kinds of things, like doing your monthly accounting. And it's not just for taxes. You can use that to make more profit in your business. Here's how. Typically, most businesses sell multiple goods and services. Let's pretend this business sold 10 different things. And they make a profit. They say, well, I've worked hard. I made a profit. I've done a good job. We come in, we look at it. We look at each item you're selling, each line. And of the 10 in my example, what if we found out you made a profit in 7, you lost money in 3. When you put them all together, it was still a profit. You can make more money and do less work by getting rid of the 3 losers, or charge more for them, or be more efficient. And there's other things too. For example, big companies have multiple people do all kinds of things, like HR. Well, we actually have HR services too. I haven't even talked about it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah.
For example, suppose you're a business owner and you provide your employees with benefits like healthcare. Sometimes we come in and say, well, the health care that you're providing is fine, but we can give you a better health care plan. Say, for example, your employees don't have to pay a deductible, and add vision, and add dental, and add short-term disability, and long-term disability. And for that package, and with big companies, not some rinky-dink fly-by, big, prestigious companies, and you can provide all that extra stuff and pay less than you're paying right now for the plan you have with the big deductible. That's just one of the things the personnel department does. Or make sure you're in compliance with things, or you're having a problem and say, look, here's the way to handle this problem. So the bottom line is basically what we do is we offer an array of services to businesses that can't afford to have a staff of full-time people. You can't afford to have your own HR department and your own accounting department. But you can have all the benefits of that through basically you have a part-time accounting department and part-time HR, and we're here for you. And then we coordinate everything. Like the lady asked in the last hour with estate planning, we'll tell you all about that. And the bottom line is we have so many services that work together. And usually, I'll talk more about them now. Usually we just talk about, the fun stuff like getting $1.5 million, or, oh my God, this guy did this terrible thing. How are we going to fix it? Or he's being audited. But there's so much regular, but that's the regular stuff. It doesn't get kind of like the attention that I'm talking about, but it's so vital to business, and it can take so many headaches off your plate as a business owner and make you more money. And these are all things that we offer.
Yeah, it's a remarkable thing that your agency has even more of a breadth of expertise than I was aware of. 888-TAX-DEAL is the number to reach Steve Moskowitz, 888-TAXDEAL. And so in all the ways that he's just mentioned and more, there may be, in your connection with Steve Moskowitz, real monies that you can realize personally and for your small or medium-sized or even large business. Steve Moskowitz, 888-TAX-DEAL. You can also reach him online, MoskowitzLLP.com. Moskowitz is MOSKOWITZ. LLP is LLP. Put it together, you got MoskowitzLLP.com. Steve, so grateful for you and your support of the show, and have a great weekend, my friend.
Have a great weekend. And again, as a listener and for everybody else, we're grateful for all you guys together. Thanks so much.
So cool. So cool. Steve Moskowitz, he's the straw that stirs the drink, as the kids say. Good stuff, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Right on.
Mark Thompson Show.
I love this guy. He comes and goes on a rainbow. He is the culture blaster, Michael Snyder, everybody. Come on from Michael Snyder.
Happy Friday to everybody. Yeah. Mark, Kim, John Daly, everybody out there in listener and viewer land. And I'm so excited, obviously, for the Niners-Dolphins game this coming weekend. But yesterday, I had the thrill of seeing the first trailer for the upcoming Indiana Jones movie.
Oh.
The fifth in the series and the final go-round for Gruff and Tumble, get that? Gruff and Tumble senior citizen Harrison Ford in the role of the daring adventurer. The trailer, by the way, also revealed the title of the movie. This is the first big revelation of the title.
What is that?
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I mean, really? Seriously?
Are you serious? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I just hope that if Indy uses the Dial of Destiny, he follows that up by powdering with the Gold Bond of Glory.
Oh, because Dial is the thing.
They threw out the Irish Spring of Insight. They didn't like that one. There was the Palmolive of Power. They settled on. By the way, considering that the movie takes place in the 60s, shouldn't it have been called Indiana Jones and the Rotary Dial of Destiny? I'm just asking.
Michael, you just got the dial you're going to play. There are no more word plays on the dial?
I'm done. Let's move on to movies, buddy. It's the weekend and new films are opening and available to be seen. Let's kick it off with Violent Night.
I was hoping you would tell me how Violent Night is.
Violent Night answers the question, what if we set Die Hard in a remote mansion and replace John McClane with Old St. Nick? I mean, oh my God, what an inspired idea.
So this is interesting. Old St. Nick is not a bad guy. I thought in the trailers he looks like a bad guy.
No, it's played in Violent Night by David Harbour, the sheriff on Stranger Things.
Right.
Santa is the baddest of bad Santas. He's the real deal, only embittered, burnt out, and prone to drinking hooch after thousands of years of bringing the toys. On this particular Christmas Eve, he's forced to bring the pain instead. So it goes down during his stop for cookies, milk, and scotch at a mansion owned by the cunning matriarch of a super wealthy family.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol
in
it.
He gets drunk and starts shooting the place up, or what?
There is. So the clan is gathered there, and it's a son and a daughter who are the matriarch's heirs, and they're kind of jockeying for her favor. There are their spouses and a couple of grandkids. One is an obnoxious wannabe social media influencer, and the other is a sweet young girl who, thankfully for all concerned, still believes in Santa. So even as Kris Kringle is getting ready to leave a few prezzies upstairs and split in his sleigh, he's got the sleigh with reindeer, the family is taken hostage by a gang of trigger-happy thieves whose leader is a particularly nasty fellow and a Christmas hater, played by John Leguizamo.
Well, it's one thing not to hate Christmas, another thing it's bloody though, right?
Right. As Santa has a dilemma here. Does he go on to the next stop on his global gifting tour, or does he stay and help the endangered family? Now, you can kind of guess what he ends up doing, whether he likes it or not. I mean, the guy's potted. He's potted. So the laughs come at you with regularity. Even when Violent Night rolled out a few deliberately cheesy B-movie moments, they tickled me. Lampooning the Santa mythology in the context of an indestructible hero action thriller was touched on fairly recently with the Mel Gibson bomb Fat Man, but Violent Night does it much better and way funnier. It seems like everyone, especially Harbour, I think, got a kick out of making Violent Night, which also has a bit of Home Alone to it. I was thoroughly entertained. Violent Night is in theaters.
I had no idea it's a comedy. The trailer does not make it seem like a comedy.
It's an action comedy featuring a drunken Santa, and it's really Santa.
That's
him.
real.
It's him. Anyway,
doesn't it have to be a comedy? I mean, how do you make that?
I don't know, but I don't know that this is one for your offspring, Kim. But I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Or Eric Kennedy, who wants something to watch with his kid. I don't think that's
How old is the kid? Anyway, let's get to something a little more serious.
Yes, please.
There's a new adaptation of D.H. Lawrence's steamy romance novel, Lady Chatterley's Lover, that's in theaters and now today on Netflix. I've seen a few movie versions of Lady Chatterley's Lover, and I have to say that this is one of them. No, wait. All kidding aside, director Laure de Clermont-Tonnerre has done a magnificent job.
Oh, my God. Give him a ding for the Lord, whatever his name is.
Laure. A wonderful job of interpreting this erotic tale of a well-to-do married woman's affair with one of the servants on her wheelchair-bound husband's estate. The cast is superb, especially the leads. Emma Corrin, who you might recall as Diana Spencer in season 4 of The Crown, is Lady Constance Connie Chatterley here. Corrin and Jack O'Connell as her lover, gamekeeper Oliver Meliors, have serious smoking on-screen chemistry, and meanwhile, Corrin and Matthew Duckett as Connie's aristocrat husband, Sir Clifford Chatterley, have what's the opposite of chemistry? No chemistry. Either before he goes off to fight in World War I.
You mean on screen, or you mean in the story?
On screen. I mean, how do I know what's going on off screen? Was I part of that production, Mark?
No, but I mean, in the story, you're saying they lack
chemistry. Am I little Lord Chatterley? Is that what you're saying?
All right, go ahead.
Anyway, there's no chemistry. Before he goes off to fight in World War I, no chemistry, and certainly when he gets back from the front with crippling injuries that leave him unable to walk and either physically or, I don't know, psychologically impotent. The script is lean, sharp, and thoroughly adult. The manor, the countryside, the nearby village are beautifully shot, and the crucial sex scenes are lovely, whether implicit or, get this, explicit. Other than the incredibly...
It was great. I loved it.
There's an incredible...
That is not, it's not for kids, please.
Other than the incredibly hot French version from 2006...
It's fantastic.
Stop it.
That actually ignited a romance between two filmgoers. I know.
Is that right?
Yeah, in 2006, the French version.
They got so hot watching the scenes that they hooked up?
Absolutely.
Wow.
This is the best cinematic Lady Chatterley's Lover, other than that one. The best I've had the pleasure of viewing, again in theaters and on Netflix.
Wow.
Okay, Nanny. Nanny is a potent, twisty, and disturbing surprise of a movie. And no, Mark, there's no sign of Fran Drescher. This Nanny is far from a sitcom. It delves into the bleak side of the refugee experience, racial strife, class conflict, and questions of family responsibility and fidelity, while weaving in subtle psychological horror and unsettling elements of African mythology. So, a young actress who goes by the name on television of Mame Anna Diop, and here is just Anna Diop. She's probably best known as Starfire on the very cool DC HBO Max superhero show Titans. Here, she's a revelation as Aisha, a Senegalese immigrant who scores a plum job as a nanny for the sheltered daughter of a well-to-do urban American couple. She's determined to earn enough money to bring her young son from her African homeland to the U.S., but as she grows closer to the daughter that she's, the nanny of, it seems like something supernatural has started to kind of stalk her. She's stalking Aisha, fraying her nerves, undermining her relationship with her increasingly, get ready with the ding, diffident employers.
Oh my God, that is such a ding word.
Especially the little girl's mother, played in conniving fashion by Michelle Monaghan. Although low-key in parts, this is ultimately a tour de force for Diop, whose character's underlying turbulence...
I ding tour de force.
The underlying turbulence of the character slowly but inevitably cracks through her carefully restrained facade. I expect some serious recognition for her work.
Ding facade.
During this year's Independent Spirit Awards, Nanny is mesmerizing stuff.
I ding mesmerized.
Are we dealing with infants here? Come on, everybody knows.
It's not a question of knowing it. It's a question of it being a big word.
Okay,
you
anyway,
used a smaller word, but you used mesmerizing.
I think this movie is going to gain its screenwriter and director, Nikiatu Jesu, some justified acclaim, and despite its unsettling impact, its horror is far less visceral than some things that would put you off.
Visceral's a ding word. Oh my
anyway,
God. All right. Yeah.
Nanny is in select theaters.
You liked it, though.
It will be very much so. It's available for streaming on December 16th via Amazon.
Okay.
Let's see here.
You've got only time for one more, Michael Snyder. It's like choosing between children, these movies.
Well, I don't want to... I was thinking of talking about The Son with Hugh Jackman. It was done by the same guy who did the Academy Award winner, The Father, and it's a different family, even though obviously This is a talented filmmaker. The guy's named Florian Zeller, and Anthony Hopkins won a Best Actor Oscar for The Father.
The Father was brilliant, yeah.
But the son is pretty weak sauce. And,
wow, is that right?
Yeah, it's like melodrama.
And what's the son about?
Well, it's basically about a family, a different family from the one in The Father, and the effects of depression on the relationship between a teenage boy and his estranged parents. And
it's the same family or not?
No, as I just said, it's not the same family.
Okay,
different family. And Hugh Jackman is quite good, and there's good support there. But I would rather tell you about something that was so much fun.
Okay,
because that's just a bummer.
Tell me about something that was so much fun. Then you're getting out of here. I don't know all day. Nikki's got a show.
Depending on their size and intent, trolls are like the Godzillas or King Kongs of Scandinavia, or elves are. And I've seen a couple of pretty fantastic troll-centric movies from Scandinavia. The award-winning 2018 Swedish film Border and the droll 2010 Norwegian mockumentary Troll Hunter. There was no sign, by the way, of those cute little furry-headed dolls in either, but we have a new movie with a title that gets straight to the point. It's called Troll, and I totally enjoyed it. When an excavation to drill a tunnel through a Norwegian mountain awakens an enormous ancient mythic creature, it heads for Oslo, the capital city. The prime minister and her cabinet are freaked out. The only people who could stop this crazy thing are a paleontologist with daddy issues, her unhinged father, who's a folklore expert, an advisor to the prime minister, and a square-jawed military man. I had a ball watching Troll, which manages to be straight-faced and tongue-in-cheek at the same time as it breathes a little life into the giant monster movie cliches. It's directed by a guy, by the way, named Roar Uthaug. That's right, a guy named Roar directed a movie about a giant monster.
That's a strong name, though, Roar Uthaug.
It is. Mostly in Norwegian with English subtitles. Again, available on Netflix. I really got a kick out of Troll, and if you like monster movies, this is a little different and yet very satisfying.
He likes Troll. You can find it, as you say, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's like a B movie, but it's so much fun.
And The Son, the Florian Zeller film, the follow-up to The Father, which is an Academy Award nominated film.
A different family.
God, it was different. In any case, The Son he doesn't like. It was one of the films that he's not crazy for.
Yeah, it's in theaters, and it was a disappointment.
Yeah, Nanny he likes. He felt that the Nanny's in theaters as well, sir?
It is, and it will be coming to Amazon Prime in a matter of days, December 16th.
Nanny he liked. Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Sexy.
Really liked
hot.
He said Michael Snyder, he's seen all of the incarnations of Lady Chatterley's Lover, all the different iterations. I'll give incarnation and iteration a ding.
Even the one from 2006 that ignited a romance.
Yes, that's right, and told a story, or just to reference a story about a hot romance that was born at a screening. Anyway, Lady Chatterley's Lover, he thinks this is the best one.
Loved it.
And it's in theaters?
It is in theaters and will also be visible on Netflix starting today. Netflix has been like a gold mine today.
All of a sudden, yeah, Netflix really is rallying. Violent Night, which is the action comedy, kind of a Die Hard meets Santa.
Yeah, it's sort of like Miracle on Nakatomi Plaza. It's kind of... I think that's sort of the way it is.
That's very strong. He really recommends it. He's going to get me to watch it.
It's not for everybody, but
I wasn't going to watch it until you really. If it's Die Hardy, I kind of like Die Hard.
It's very Die Hardy, and also I got to say, David Harbour is
so
he's
talented,
a delight.
Yeah.
He's very entertaining, and if you liked him as the sheriff in Stranger Things, or you like him as the commie superhero in the Black Widow movie from Marvel, you're going to love him in this Violent Night. I
was going to say that Daryl says in the chat, it's a tough job. Someone has to see all these movies. Thanks, Michael.
I am very grateful for you checking in, and you're very welcome. And I do have a good time most of the time, but man,
once in a while you gotta sit through some stinkers.
And I stay till the bitter end, Mark.
Yeah, you do not. He does not bail. He does not bail. Michael, have a great weekend. You can read him in the Marina Times. You can see him, and we can hear him here. Eventually, we'll have enough money for a camera for you.
Hey, check me out, by the way, on Twitter at Culture Blaster. And go Niners. This is going to be quite a task, quite a test.
Dolphins actually have a team this year. So, yes, have a good weekend. We'll see you here back Friday. Culture Blaster comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye, Michael.
Farewell, everybody.
Wow, the Culture Blaster, everyone.
Not a lot of movies that are good for kids this time around, but The Violent Night, I might check that one out.
I know, and I thought it was just a horror film, but it sounds like it's got some other aspects to it.
Well, people think that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
No, there was a big debate about that.
Yeah,
actually,
so this kind of takes that and runs with it, right?
Yes, it really runs with it, right? This is clearly a Christmas movie, right? Bad Santa's a funny movie, too. I mean, the Billy Bob Thornton movie, that's a really funny movie as well. City Shaper 1, $4.99 super sticker. Come on, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, City Shaper 1. Appreciate that super sticker. At noon is the Nikki Maduro show. That's like right around now. And Kim usually reads what is coming up. Kim?
Well, this is not to be missed. Nikki is going to try Pilk. Pepsi and milk.
Wow.
Talk about the sick leave and what's going on at Stanford. It's going to be a great show.
Wow. That's terrific. All right.
It's fantastic.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go over there myself. I never miss it. I'll remind you that here's the Mark Thompson hat.
Nice.
All the merch and on the merch side is a bunch of stuff like stocking stuffer. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? Oh, I didn't. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do it on Monday. The merch people told me two things. A, you'll get 15% at checkout at getmarkmerch.com through midnight tonight. At midnight, the 15% discount is gone. So getmarkmerch.com, enter the discount code Iron Rod. You know Iron Rod from
Smashed it with your iron rod.
That's right. Smash it with your iron rod. By the way,
Smashed it with your iron rod.
do smash the like button before you leave, please. Really could use the likes. And share this offering. Send it to your friends. Say, check this out or check out this segment or whatever. That really helps us as well. But what I was going to say is Iron Rod is good for a 15% discount at checkout, and that's good until midnight tonight. At midnight tonight, it's back to, regular holiday pricing, but no discount. So do grab whatever you want there on the merch site. Knock around. What I was going to do, and I'll do it on Monday, they sent me the most popular items on the merch site. So even if you're not going to buy something, go to the merch site, getmarkmerch.com, and you decide what you think are the most popular items. And we will do a little quiz here on Monday about that.
The touch tool. It's got to be the touch tool.
Kim is a touch tool fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I forget, actually. But I just saw it. I thought, this would be fun. We got to do that. We'll ask people. Yeah. So there's all of that to come. That will be on Monday. So also, next week, what a week it's going to be. Let me just tell you who's coming up next week. The return of David K. Johnston, everybody. Nice. The Pulitzer Prize winner returns. I've got a second Pulitzer Prize winner coming next week. That is Michael Hiltzik, who writes the business column for the LA Times. He'll talk about KGO. By the way, David K. Johnston wants to talk about KGO also and about the future of broadcasting in addition to all the Trump stuff and the politics. David Katz next week as well. From Billions. One of the stars of Billions is going to be here on Monday, Kelly O'Coin. So we got a lot of stuff. That's just the stuff I can remember. And, my memory is not what it should be. So I want to thank everybody. Smash the like button.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Yeah, but I'm talking about fabulous producer John Daly.
Fabulous producer John Daly.
Thank you, Kim.
Kim, how are you?
You are just awesome. Love you too, Tony. Love you to the end of time, baby.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, you are really cool.
Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show.
Shadow, of course.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. I wish we had more time.
Bye-bye.
But apparently we are out of time. So I say it to you. Have a good weekend and bye-bye.